Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are cracking the code on a kitchen classic, one that seems so simple, but man, it can go so wrong. I'm talking about crispy oven-roasted broccoli.
All right, let's just get right into it. We've all been there, right? You're picturing those amazing, crispy, browned florets, the ones you get at a really good restaurant. But then you pull your baking sheet out of the oven, and what you've got is, well, it's kind of limp, a little steamy. And honestly, it's just a bit of a letdown.
Well, that disappointment, it ends today. I'm going to walk you through the absolute foolproof technique that will get you those perfectly crisp, beautifully charred, and super flavorful florets every single time. So you might think the secret to perfect crispiness starts in the oven, but nope, it actually begins way before that, right on your cutting board. Let's dive into the prep work, because this is where the magic really happens. And look, the list of what you need is so simple. We're talking about 500 grams of broccoli, a couple of tablespoons of olive oil, some kosher salt, and that's it for the ingredients. For tools, just a baking sheet and some parchment paper. The parchment makes cleanup a breeze and stops anything from sticking. Super easy. Okay, before you even start chopping, let's talk about a huge mistake a lot of people make. We tend to cut our broccoli into these tiny little bite-sized florets. And what's the problem with that? Well, those little floury ends, they just burn to a crisp before the stems even get close to being tender. So here's what you're going to do instead. Your first step is to cut the broccoli into large, fairly uniform florets. And as you're cutting, try to create at least one flat side on each piece. Why? Simple. Keeping them all about the same size means they'll all cook evenly. And that flat side? Oh, that's our secret weapon for getting an amazing char later. All right, listen up, because this next step might just be the most important one of them all. You have got to dry those florets completely. I mean, bone dry. Grab a clean towel, get into all those little crevices. Any little bit of water you leave behind is just going to turn into steam in the hot oven. And steam, well, steam is the mortal enemy of crispy.
Okay, so before we move on, let's do a quick two-part check. First, look at your florets. Are they pretty big and all about the same size? Great. Now, touch them. Are they totally dry with zero water hiding in those little green branches? If you can say yes to both of those, you have just aced the prep work.
Okay, our broccoli is prepped to perfection. Now it's time to talk about the fun part, the actual roasting. We're going to cover heat, space, and timing. Let's really master this technique. First things first, crank up that oven. We need it hot. We're talking 425 Fahrenheit, which is 220 Celsius. That high heat is what's going to hit the outside of the broccoli and start that crisping process instantly, instead of just, slowly baking it. Now, grab those super dry florets and pop them in a bowl. Drizzle on your olive oil, sprinkle in the kosher salt, and just give it all a good toss. You want every single piece to get a light, even coating. The oil is what helps it get all nice and brown, and the salt does double duty. It pulls out even more moisture and seasons it perfectly. Okay, time to talk about the other big no-no when it comes to roasting veggies. Crowding the pan. Seriously, don't do it. If you pile all that broccoli on top of each other, you're basically creating a little broccoli sauna. All that moisture gets trapped and poof, you're steaming, not roasting. So here's the key. You have to spread those florets out in one single, even layer on your baking sheet. Give each piece a little breathing room, its own personal space. That's what lets the hot air get all the way around each floret, which is exactly what you need for that crispy finish. And hey, remember those flat sides we cut earlier? Well, this is their moment. Place each floret with that flat side facing down on the pan. That direct contact with the hot pan, that's what is going to give you that incredible, delicious, caramelized char. All right, into the oven they go. The whole thing should take about 20 to 25 minutes. And you don't even need to touch them. No flipping, no tossing, just let that heat do its thing. If you want, you can take a little peek around the 15-minute mark just to see how that beautiful browning is coming along. Okay, timer's done. We are so close. The broccoli is out of the oven, but wait, we're not quite finished yet. Let's talk about those last little touches and how to know for sure that it's absolutely perfect. So while it's still piping hot, you can totally take it to the next level. A little fresh lemon zest will brighten up all those flavors, or maybe a pinch of red chili flakes for a little kick of heat. The trick is to add this stuff after it comes out of the oven. That way, the flavors stay super fresh and don't just cook off. So how do you know you've nailed it? It's a two-part test. First, just look at it. You should see deeply browned edges, maybe even a little char here and there. That's good stuff. Second, the texture test. Grab a fork and poke one of the thicker stems. The fork should go in easily, but you should still feel a little bit of a crisp bite. That's the sweet spot. Tender, but definitely not mushy.
And there you have it. Just look at that. That is perfect, flavorful, and seriously crispy oven-roasted broccoli. It's ready to be the star of the show on your dinner plate.
So just remember, this whole technique, high heat, super dry ingredients, and lots of space, it's not just for broccoli. This is like a universal law of roasting. It works for cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, carrots, you name it. So now that you've got this down, the only real question is, what are you going to roast next?